Welcome to White Door Tarot, where the reader is bubbly, but the readings can get dark. So today I am going to be doing the Leo Gang's second half of September reading. I am super excited to see how this eclipse turned out for the rest of the zodiac signs and Leo. I don't know why I worded it that way. All of the zodiac signs. So first, let's start with the Leo Animal Oracle reading. Is that 3? That's my 3. Okay. Ooh, tarantula, oyster, and zebra. Who else got zebra? Last time I did a all signs reading. All right, let's see here. Tarantula. Oh. At a crossroad. Claiming life's purpose. The tarantula represents a moment when a great decision must be made. It involves prioritizing your life's deeper purpose or dharma. A habit of routine from the past is sidetracking you from your dream, yet a voice inside keeps begging you to refocus your attention. In order to find true happiness, you must choose dharma. Until you do, satisfaction will be fleeting. The tarantula hovers, patient and calm, like an old friend that knows your inner soul. It already knows you'll choose wisely. When in balance, follows intuition. When out of balance, hesitates, over intellectualizes. To bring into balance, daily journaling. This is fascinating. I always associate tarantulas with the process of growth because, they go into a very vulnerable state when they molt. They get kind of they don't move around much when they're in the process of preparing for a molt. So they'll set themselves up with like a little web mat and they'll just kind of sit there lying on their backs, and then they kind of start to push their exoskeleton off of them. And sometimes they can get stuck and die, or they can get injured in the process and die. It's a very life-threatening process for them. And then once they come out of it, their new exoskeleton is still so soft, and their little mandibles, their teeth, fangs aren't ready yet. They're also soft, so they can't eat yet. And so if they're ever put in a position where they have to protect themselves, they kind of can't for a while until their new exoskeleton hardens. And I think I don't know, I have mad respect for tarantulas for having to go through that over and over again just to grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger. And when you think about that, every tarantula that reaches its maximum size and lifespan is kind of a miracle. But yeah, I don't know, this card kind of tells me that you're at the stage where they have shed the previous exoskeleton, but they're still kind of soft. Something tells me that you've already gotten to a certain point. You're still just getting used to your new skin. Let's word it that way. All right, oyster. It's funny because an oyster also kind of popped up in the eclipse reading that I did. Patient secret keeper, hiding inner treasures. The focus and determination of the oyster is unmatched. Anything an oyster personality puts their mind to, they achieve with grace and charm. The only problem is oyster types often take their inner gifts for granted. They become shy or doubtful, and this can lead to withdrawing or protecting their deepest desires in life's work. When the oyster card appears, it's important to reveal your inner treasures. What is it you've been hesitant to share? The world is waiting to see. When in balance, feels blessed, generous, masterful. When out of balance, reluctant, gripping, climbs up. To bring into balance, share something. Didn't you guys get this at the last reading too, or no? I can't remember, but I remember seeing the oyster in another reading. But yeah, this kind of reiterates the tarantula card for me. So that you've already gotten to a certain point, you're just nervous to embody the new you. Zebra. Come on. There it is. Eccentric, creative, visionary. Zebras are the most precious of gems. They are young at heart, well cultured, and have an undying curiosity about life. Being in the company of a zebra personality not only is a delight, but also opens our minds. Be prepared, their potent magic is contagious, and you may soon find yourself in a faraway land, expanding your worldview while having a blast. Zebras also like to contribute to the global health through environmental or volunteer work. This card may be a hint to pack your bags. This feels like an outcome. When in balance, worldly, enthusiastic, fashion forward. When out of balance, jaded, pouty, vain. To bring into balance, an epic adventure, art. This feels like an outcome. Let's see. All right. Okay. Leo, love. No. Ooh, the sun and the three of cups and the father of wands. The magician. A lot of exciting cards here. Father of cups. Oh, I see. I'm starting to see. Okay. Ace of cups. Ten of pentacles. Five of swords. No. Yeah. Five of swords. Daughter of wands. The world. Two of wands. The hangman. Does this feel final to me? Yes. Let's see. What do you got? I'm going to be honest with you, Leo. This feels more like regaining your self love than anything. When I saw the Father of Cups and the Father of Wands pop up, at first I questioned, are we choosing between two people? Is that what's happening here? But I feel like this isn't about them. If anything, I think it looks more like that. Because I'm going to be honest with you. The Father of Cups and the Father of Wands are both, good characters in their own right, but when I pulled them, I didn't feel excited. I didn't feel like, ooh, new love, or oh, I felt more like, eh. It's kind of like, what do you want for breakfast? Oatmeal or cereal? Like, both are just okay, to the point that you don't even care which one you get. And I feel like this is you saying oatmeal or cereal. I am steak and eggs for breakfast. I am the bacon. Like that's what this feels like. This feels like Leos regaining their own self-love again. I remember saying in the last Leo reading that the thing that I love most about Leos is that they love themselves so much that they make you love yourself too. That their self-love is contagious, and I feel like maybe you lost a little bit of your razzle dazzle somewhere, and you thought that you had to make a choice between these two people, one that's a little more sensitive and, you know emotionally intelligent, maybe, or maybe just emotional, period, and another one that's more exciting, that's more, why is heart throbby the first thing that popped in my head. And this whole thing is just you saying, I've been trying to decide between these two people, and actually, when I dig deep, deep down, I don't actually want either of them. Because the daughter of wands, in this image, she has a branch with flowers, and she's kind of loosely coiled around it. It's almost like an energy of someone who knows what they have, knows who they are, saying, hey, I have this to offer, but I'm going to be very discerning about who gets to have it. And it looks like whatever self destructive thought processes, or habits that were kind of holding you back from fully embodying your self love is behind you. And we have the Ace of Cups, Three of Cups, Magician, the Sun, Ten of Pentacles. This feels like you're just making it happen for yourself. We have material stability and wealth, abundance. We have Three of Cups is normally the card of harmony, but this feels more like inner peace. And from that inner peace, you feel more solid ground beneath your feet to jump up, start climbing towards your happiness. That's what this feels like. This feels like you are getting more solid within yourself, because this feels like you used to be, or you were up until recently, in this mindset that you were like, well, I have to pick one. I can't be by myself. Neither is not really an option. I have to pick one or the other. But it's like you're getting to a point where you're trusting that you don't have to pick either of them, because you know what you're made of. You know what you're capable of. You're confident in your ability to hold your own. And that doesn't come from I don't need nobody. I rather be alone to protect my peace kind of mindset. That's really just isolation in order to avoid triggers. But no, this comes from a place of empowerment. This comes from a place of, I want it to be so that I can wait for the steak dinner. I'm not starving, so I don't have to snack on the charcuterie board or charcuterie board to tie me over until the next thing. I don't need to keep grazing and taking whatever is there. I want to make it so that I can wait for the steak dinner because I'm not starving. I want to I want to keep myself for the right one. Mad respect, Leo, mad respect. You're getting clearer on the kind of character that you want. Because you can want all these superficial things. Like, I want them to have rock hard abs. I don't really know what, I don't know what else. A chiseled jaw, or tiny waist, curves in all the right places. This feels like you're just kind of getting more clear, cutting through the noise of all the superficial stuff that you thought that you wanted in a person, and realizing that when you take all that away, neither of these people are what you want, because what you want is a lot deeper now. What you want is in a more fundamental part of a person now. Are they kind? Are they thoughtful? Are they emotionally available? Are they capable of communication? Do they understand how to communicate without letting it escalate into an argument? Do they listen? Can they understand you? Can they try? Do they try? How do they affect you? How do they make you feel about you? It feels like that's more the stuff that you're focused on now. And as you understand better what you need or want in a partner, and these two fall away, it's like you're starting to understand that you have to embody what you want to attract. You have to become what you seek. And it looks like the inner work is happening for that. And you're finding the sun inside yourself. Wow. Oh, and we haven't even gotten to this yet. Two of Wands feels like, the indecision that was associated with this. And then we have the Hanged Man, which is about seeing things from a different perspective. How far can I go with this? Right there. Okay. It's about seeing things from a different perspective, which is, I think, all this. And then we have the world, the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. You're developing true Leo self love here. You're developing the kind of self love that comes from compassion and courage, strength, love, love that comes from love, for love's sake. You're embodying the kind of love that says, I am who I want. I give what I ask for. I'm not asking for too much. I am worth it because I am living proof that what I want exists because I became what I want. And so I will wait until I find that because nothing else will do. Wow. This makes me so happy. Good on you, Leo. Good on you. So proud of you. I love that for you. I really do. I'm kind of an awkward person if you can't tell, but I am internally swelling with pride and happiness for this. I love this. Alrighty, now getting into Leo work. I know how to shuffle cards, I swear. Oh, how funny. Leo popping up in the midsection of the deck. I really hope my other main deck decides to come out of retirement because I've been using her for a long time and I look cooler shuffling her than this because this deck does not shuffle well. Okay. All right. Leo work. Let's do it. Mm, 10 of Wands. How far can I go? Right here. Okay. Father of Swords. And then I'm going to go through my crazy corkboard guy process of rearranging them anyways. But, Two of Swords. Five of Pentacles. And there we go. Six of Cups. Okay. The Devil. All right. Oh, the Empress. Cool. Okay. Seven. Let's do 10. Eight. 9, 10. Perfect. Oh, the Empress and the Emperor. Okay. Daughter of Swords, Father of Swords, 10 of Pentacles. Or no, 9 of Pentacles. Okay. Okay. So the Empress and the Emperor are divine counterparts in the deck. Empress is also Taurus energy. The Emperor is also Aries energy. Who else do we have here? The Devil is Capricorn energy, but it doesn't have to be a Capricorn. It could just mean what the cards mean. But the reason I bring that up is I do want to start by saying that this doesn't feel like a romantic relationship or anything like that. This feels like a better match work wise. With that being said, it looks like where you are currently with the Ten of Wands here, along with the Devil, it feels like there's a very heavy megalomaniac type energy at your workplace. There is someone that has way too much power over your day to day at work. Um, this could even be multiple people. This could be a whole department. I'm not sure, but this just feels like there's a heavy, heavy energy at your workplace, and it's just getting harder and harder and harder to deal with. The visual that I'm getting is someone that's like sitting in an office chair, and it's like someone is just stepping on their head and just pushing down, and it's just heavy. It's heavy, it's overbearing, it's micromanaging, it's demanding. I don't know how to describe it, but it's something that you can't just dodge, you can't just work your way around it. It's on you. You're feeling that pressure, and it's heavy. And then we have the Two of Swords here. And typically the Two of Swords is depicted as a woman with a blindfold, with the two swords kind of crossed like that. This is an eclipse. But basically what that means is it's a stalemate, it's indecision, it's also sometimes something hidden. And this feels like, I heard poker face. It's almost like you put on your poker face every day to try to get through this, or you sit through it. But with the Father of Swords and the Daughter of Swords, this is a path where you speak up or you leave. Swords swords are mind and communication, but right now this to me looks like a cutting of a rope, cutting off the blindfold, maybe finally getting clear on something. And I think that that something is that you can't stay. Even if you end up landing somewhere that, let's say, doesn't pay as much, has a little bit longer of a commute, the Six of Cups being here with the roots tells me that after taking the hit of walking away from that, you will feel more yourself again. You will return to your roots. Because it looks like, based on the love reading, that you are starting to embody more of yourself now. You are starting to be more self aware. And with that kind of change, workplaces like this become more and more unbearable to be. And another thing that's popping in my head that for some reason they're urging me to talk about, I try not to spill too much about myself into these readings, but sometimes my own stories can be little anecdotes to what you're going through. And I noticed that as I awakened more and more, and that's why they call it a spiritual awakening, is because you literally wake up. You wake up from the illusion, you wake up from the dream or nightmare or however you want to word it, where you were just kind of going through the motions on your little hamster wheel, repeating cycles, repeating traumas, acting on your programming, just following the script, feeling that pressure from the order in which society tells you that you're supposed to live your life, like you're supposed to go to school and start working, pay your bills, get married, have children, pay bills until you die. And that's your life. I used to operate from a place of, because I'm half Japanese. So, a lot of my upbringing was, if you're not married by a certain age as a woman, you are a failure. But I have other stuff I want to do. Am I opposed, like absolutely opposed to marriage? No. But does it absolutely terrify me? Yes. It would take quite the special person to convince me to marry them. Um, but I didn't know that about myself until I finally opened up to the possibility that maybe, maybe just maybe fuck the programming. Maybe just maybe I get to decide what I want and I get to decide how to live my life. And for me to know that I'm not just, again, acting out of programming or, just trying to act out of trauma, because it was shoved down my throat so hard, that I'm not just trying to rebel from that either. And that it's genuinely what I want or what I don't want or whatever, you know, that is the awakening process, basically. When you become honest with yourself and embody that, whatever it looks like, even if it makes you look like a crazy person, even if it means that you won't fit in as easily. I've noticed that the more I've awakened, the more that I have embodied myself authentically. Because, like I always say, spirituality is founded on love, integrity, and authenticity. It's the path back to yourself. The further you go on that, there is no other like you, you'll find. And that kind of makes you less and less fit for society as it was built. It gets harder and harder to sit in spaces where you know you don't belong. It gets harder and harder to tolerate the absence of love, integrity, and authenticity. And I feel like as you dig down to your roots and you find yourself more and more, it's only gonna get harder to sit in that. Nine of Pentacles is my card of contentment with yourself. This is my card of, I'm happy with myself. I have everything I need and I am everything I need. Not in a rejecting others kind of way, not in an isolating kind of way. I was trying to dig for a word that I'm not sure exists. Anyway, not in an isolating kind of way, but more in a unashamed kind of way. In an open palm, this is me. I am positive that I am not acting from a place of trauma. I am not operating from a place of fear. I am operating from a place of love and integrity and authenticity. I am proud of who I am. I am proud of who I've become. I am proud of the work that I've done thus far. I know that there's more work to do, but I, because I am human and I exist, deserve dignity. That's what this feels like. And once you find that within yourself, you become more unable to tolerate this clusterfish. You embody the Empress. You embody the Emperor. You find something that is better for you, better for your soul. Because that's the thing that gets neglected the most is the soul, the health of your soul. Even from a spiritual perspective, what you do for a living or where you spend 8 hours of your day is very important because that's the energy that you're absorbing. You can literally feel the difference in the environment that's another thing. The more you awaken, the more sensitive to other energies you're going to get. And when you are sensitive to energy, kind of thing that's popping in my head right now is butterflies. Did you know that butterflies are supposed to be able to live like, I think, a month or so, maybe even a couple? Like they have longer lifespans than we think they do. And that's because they are so sensitive to air quality that even the slightest amount of pollution affects them so significantly that most of them only live like a week or two in today's modern day society. Butterflies have a shorter lifespan now because of the slight amount of pollution in the air. And I kind of hate to word it this way because it's corny, but they're saying that, the more you awaken, the more you kind of become like a butterfly, energetically speaking. It just feels more abrasive when there's a negative energy around you. And what it this I don't like any of that. That feels toxic. That feels very toxic. And it feels like you're feeling it. You're definitely feeling it. But you know what? No matter what it means for your external world, your jobs, your relationships, your friendships, where you live, your location, no matter what it means for that, you always have to prioritize your growth, even if it means that as you grow, you get harder and harder to relate to. And the truth is that butterflies don't die from slight air pollution because they're weak. They were built for the world that they live in. It's just that the world around them changed and became uninhabitable to them. I have a theory that the reason why mental illness is so prevalent now is because we built a society, a world that isn't made for us. We weren't built for the society that we built for ourselves. We weren't built to function that way. We were made to be more playful and creative, curious. We weren't even really made to stay in one place necessarily. We were meant to live life a little slower than this. And it's because of that, because of a society that goes against our true nature, is exactly how energies like this happen. Because they try to be the apex predator in an unnatural environment. And they stray so far from their true nature. So, of course, being around them is abrasive. And that's not your fault, but you do have to leave. If that's the situation that you're in. If it's affecting you that badly, you don't have to stay there. All right, shadow work. We went from such a light love reading where I was like all happy about it. I mean, I guess the work reading indicates your progress and your growth as well. It's just that sucks. All right, shadow work. Why are my hands not handing today? Thank you for tolerating my subpar shuffling skills and speaking skills. I get tongue tied, tongue twisted a lot. That's why I talk so slow. Oh, okay. Empress is back. Behave. I'm gonna crazy corkboard guy this in a minute, but why is the tower here? Okay. Ah, okay. No. But you? Yes. Why? Bye. Oh, did that really? Oh, that landed on my second table. Cool. Okay, I got it. Nice. Justice. Okay. Good. All right. That no. This feels like it's from that side. Mm-hmm. 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 All right. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. Well, Leo, this is nice. I know this part looks horrible, but these two, I heard cutting through the bullshit, while I also heard breaking out of the matrix. This tower moment, this Ace of Swords is about inspiration, lightning striking. So is the tower. Tower is about kind of like a quick, like when you yoink the one piece out of Jenga and then the whole thing comes crashing down. That. And it feels the same. Ace of Swords is about clarity. It's inspiration. It's just a sudden epiphany. And the Ace of Swords and the Tower in this case feels like one and the same. Because the Seven of Cups is about illusion. It's about what isn't real. I remember what I said earlier about why they call it a spiritual awakening. It's because you're waking up from the illusion. You are becoming more aware. You're breaking out of the hamster wheel of misery. You are becoming more and more aware of your own divinity. And the way that other people operate is starting to look more and more almost absurd to you. And you don't even understand why you used to operate that way. And once you have that clarity, once you see what you can't unsee, and you know what you cannot unknow, that's when the tower crumbles. What was never sustainable, what was never a solid foundation to begin with, the tower of cards, the castle of sand, comes crashing down. Everything that you thought was important suddenly isn't. Everything that you took for granted suddenly the most important. This is just a whole upheaval of the way that you have operated up until this point. And this tower moment to you might feel like all this: Ten of Swords, endings; Nine of Swords, just agony, depression, pain, anxiety, mental breakdown energy. Three of Swords is, again, also heartache, heartbreak. But the reality is that as one world falls away, one mode of being falls away, the way that you've always operated falls away. The Two of Cups is about your perfect match. It's also talking about opposites attract, but here it feels like unity in your duality. This feels like making peace with only having what was left after the tower crumbled. Left. As in the rubble, there were some things that survived the fall, and that's all you have left, and you're okay with it. Perhaps, let's say you had a high paying job and nice big house, newish car. Let's say you had it all. Then you come home from work, you take care of your kids, and you only get a couple hours with them before they have to go to bed. You spent 8 hours at work, and you only get like 2 or 3 hours with your kids. Or let's say you have a hobby that you really, really enjoy, but you only get to do it at like 9 o'clock on a Saturday night every week once your kids are in bed. It's almost like you had to kind of sweep away, tuck away the parts of yourself, the parts of your life that matter the most to you. I get it. Everybody in this economy has to have a job that pays a decent amount to live. But, when you kind of frame it the other way, isn't that kind of strange how we have to do that to live? Especially if the most important parts of our lives, the reason why we do the 9 to 5s, the reason why we are willing to sacrifice exactly half of our waking hours and then some, are the very things that end up on the wayside. And this feels like when the tower crumbles and you gain that different perspective, you realize that your life isn't bad. You do have a clear purpose. You do have your own hobbies. You do have children that you love, a good family, etc., etc. What you have left are all good things. You just didn't see that before because there was something else blocking your view. This feels like a newfound gratitude for what you have. That's kind of why they laid out this way. Because on one hand, you have the pain, you have the fear of destabilization. And on the other, there's almost a sense of relief. Justice feels, again, like clarity. But you see how the sword is pointing up in the Ace of Swords, and in Justice, it's pointing down. This feels like where the sword flies up, and this is where it lands. Justice is like the period at the end of a sentence. Justice is, this is what I have decided, this is what I've found. I can't unsee it. So now what? And then we have the Ace of Wands, the Fool, the Empress. Ace of Wands is new inspired action. The Fool is a leap of faith. And the Empress is the full embodiment of all of the queens in the deck. The Empress is abundance. She is abundant with love. She is wealthy. She is whole. I also like how the colors get warmer as we get through all this. And you don't have to worry about things like being where you think you're supposed to be by age XYZ. You don't have to worry about not being where you're supposed to be because you're already there. Life is meant to be lived like a story, not a marathon, not a race. It's meant to be lived like a story. You're supposed to have twists and turns and cliffhangers. You're supposed to have something to talk about in your old age. You're supposed to have wisdom to pass on your deathbed. That's the goal. The goal is to be a bearer of stories, a holder of love, to be in the memories of the people that matter to you. That is abundance. To be remembered is to be abundant. And to remember so many things is to be wealthy. And it looks like in your shadow work, you're finding your way back to the beauty of life, what makes life beautiful. You're going back to really living, not just surviving. Ooh, man, this eclipse did some stuff, didn't it? Love it. Love it. Love it. I cannot wait until we get to the point where there are so many geeks and freaks all over the place. People walking around with their third eyes wide open. And we just collectively go, we're doing things differently. We're going to live the way that we were always meant to. I can't wait for that shift to happen because I wasn't built for this shit either. It'll happen sooner or later. Yeah. All right. So if you like what you saw here today, please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you get notified every time I post a video. And I am doing uh, first half, second half of every month for all of the zodiac signs. And I pump out general readings as I feel called to do so. It's usually every other day, but that's going to be a little more sporadic. So, anyway, I'll see you in the next one.